Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring veterinarian Dr. Debbie White, groomer Joey Villani, news director Lori Brooks. And now, from the Red Barn Studios, here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
It's a toll-free number to reach out to Dr. Debbie or to Joey Villani to ask your questions about your pet from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android and BlackBerry. Whether it be a medical question, a grooming question, whatever questions you have, or if you just want to check in with us today. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to find out what it's like to be a dog. We all think we know what it's like to be a dog. Gregory Berns, he's a neuroscientist. He has actually put dogs into an MRI machine, which has got to be a feat in itself. I got to figure out how he did that. But he's put their brains into an MRI machine, dog included, the whole dog.
The dog and its brain,
yes,
now?
Dog and the brain all together to find out. You see, they put me in, they didn't find anything. But they put them in, and they found out some pretty interesting information about how they feel and what they think. And he'll be here to share it with us in just a few minutes right here on Animal Radio. Lori, who has at least two brains, what are you working on?
No, hardly, Hal. I did find this awesome. I love Consumer Reports because I always like to feel like, you're getting your money's worth.
Sure.
But Consumer Reports has named the best pet travel website.
Ooh.
And I'm going to tell you what it is because we all need one at one time or another.
Sure.
Okay?
Do you travel with your pet?
Yeah. Are you kidding? I don't think we go anywhere without them.
Do you fly with them or you take them to hotels?
No, I don't fly anymore. In fact, vacations are pretty much limited for us as to, can the dogs go? Because I don't trust anyone else to take care of them. I really don't.
What's interesting is Judy's a pet sitter, and she has a lot of people that call up, and they'll actually plan their vacations around Judy's schedule because they don't want to leave town unless Judy's there to sit there. I think Judy's seeing that more and more people are taking their animals with them and going places with them. I certainly...
They do. Yes, they do.
We take Ladybug places. Yeah. How about you, Doc?
You know what? I have to say, I did some traveling, and I was at an airport, and I'm walking along, and there's dogs everywhere now at the airport, if y'all notice.
Yeah.
And come in one direction, another dog starts barking, lunging, and almost attacking another dog. And I turned to the guy next to me, and I said, boy, it's tough when you see a service dog attack another service dog. And, of course, I was tongue-in-cheek, because clearly this was not a service dog. It was a pet owner who had just gone to the black market and gotten the little fake
the vest
jacket and was just making a bad name for people who are doing it because they truly need a pet, have a health or a condition which requires them to have it. So I want to shame those people when I see that because that's bad examples.
Well, yeah, certainly when you see them on the plane and the dog is misbehaving, you know that's not a service dog because service dogs generally are very well behaved and don't get distracted easily. So yeah, that is too bad. But I do see that there are websites all over where people can get badges and identifications and all kinds of things.
But it's also something that you have to keep up on because Tater was a certified psychiatric service dog. Yeah. And I got to tell you now, several months later, because we haven't been working with him, he is no longer in that program. And because of things that he went through, they don't want him to be a service dog any longer. Because they don't know his triggers at this point. Still, I wouldn't dare tell anybody he's a service dog and then watch him, do something uncalled for.
Certainly. Okay, so if you want to learn more about the best place to find your travel or make your travel plans for your dog or cat or iguana, Lori will have that in just a few minutes right here on Animal Radio. Let's head to the phones for your calls. Hi, Aisha.
Hi.
You must be a child of the 90s, a young gal, huh?
Oh, well, you're flattering, but not hardly. A child of the 70s.
Really? Aisha?
Yeah,
Aisha.
73. Come on.
I thought Aisha was kind of a newer name, no?
No, it's one of the older ones. All the other Shuz are the newer ones.
Oh, okay.
I'm one of the old Shuz.
So what's going on? I have Dr. Debbie right here. I understand something's going on with your animal.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Debbie. How are you doing?
Hi, super. And how about you?
I'm doing okay. I have a 3-year-old Doberman. Her name is Diamond, and she has, we're calling it incontinence. She will lay down, and it's kind of like she potties in the bed. She'll be laying on her dog bed, and she'll just urinate. Not defecation, but urinate, and so, pretty much she'll be laying down, and when she gets up, there's a nice little potty spot where she was laying. And she's great. She's a wonderful dog. She's great with the kids. I would love to have her sleeping, in the kids' room on a dog bed or something like that, or even on the bed. But I just can't trust that we won't have that problem with the urination.
Sure. And she's pottying outside during the day, okay?
Yeah. So it's not a potty training issue. She knows to go outside. We don't really have a doggy door, but we kind of keep the back door open from time to time, and she'll go on outside and go to the bathroom, defecate outside. It seems like usually when she's sleeping, if she has been asleep for a long period of time and she gets up, whatever blanket or area she's on, there's a nice little urination spot right there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
And
alrighty.
So, and I've been told that there's medication I can give her, but no one seems to know the name of the medication, anything about the medication. So just your thoughts.
Okay, absolutely, yes. And when we have a dog, especially a female dog that is incontinent, leaking urine when they're sleeping or relaxed or getting from a lying position, getting up,
yes.
we tend to look for female incontinence medications. And is she spayed by any chance?
Yes, she is.
She is. Okay. Because the number one population we see this in is the spayed female dog. And some thoughts actually recognize this problem could be as high as 15 to 20% of dogs that are spayed. It's one of the reasons that nowadays many folks with the laparoscopic spays are actually just removing the ovaries, because it's thought to maybe be implicated with that. But yes, so there are some very useful medicines. And I can tell you my own Labrador is on 2 of those to help control her problem. Because it was, I recognized it in my dog at 2 years of age. And so the first line medication, I'm going to back up. First, always what I'd like to do first is to check a urine sample, make sure nothing's going on in there. No signs of infection, make sure there's no crystals that might make us worried about bladder stones, things of that nature. Once that's good, then I'll look at the medicine. And the first one we go to is phenylpropanolamine, or Proin is one of the common trade names of that. And that's something that it's generally given twice a day to 3 times a day, and can for many dogs do wonderfully to help improve the tone in the bladder so that we don't have these leaking episodes. Beyond that, there is also an estrogen compound. It's called diethylstilbestrol, and we abbreviate it DES. And it has to be compounded at a outside pharmacy that makes prescriptions. So you probably won't find that readily at your veterinary office unless they already have someone compounding that. And that is not always the first choice because it's an estrogen compound, and we have to kind of watch to make sure we're not giving too much, that it can suppress the bone marrow. We can lead to problems with anemia. I've never seen it. It can happen, and we worry also about giving too much causing estrogen stimulation, so maybe feeding the concerns with breast cancer. So we want to use this cautiously with veterinary supervision, but I can tell you that drug...
What is your dog? You said your dog is on what?
She is on both of those.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, and we actually had her on the phenylpropanolamine for quite a few years, and she did well with that. And then eventually we lost control, and she started having leaking. So we added in the DES, and that's usually added in. At first we started on a daily basis, and then some dogs we get down to just maybe once or twice a week, and that kind of helps control. And it's interesting. Both of these medicines, when they're used together, they work better than one agent by themselves. So it's not unusual that we'll use them together for a pet. And I'll have to tell you that Dobermans are definitely a breed that can have an incontinence problem even if they're not spayed. So we do see that very commonly in these gals. So
could it have anything to do with the tail docking, or is that just not it?
Probably not. And I mentioned that, there's some thought that perhaps having surgery in that area, basically having the uterus removed, might cause some change to the nerves in the area or to, the structure in that area. But Now, and then there are some other more extreme techniques, and I can't tell you I've had anybody go through them, but I've heard of some fellow colleagues that pets can have collagen injections into the bladder.
Oh, wow.
And that helps to give a little bit of a thickening to the bladder. And for many dogs, that may work wonderfully, but it can have a temporary effect, so they have to go back for additional treatments, and that's usually done at specialty centers, vet schools, things of that nature. So
okay.
Not widely used.
Okay. Thank you.
We wish you the best of luck with that, Aisha. Thanks for calling.
Okay, thank you so much.
Well, I'm delighted to tell you this portion of Animal Radio is brought to you by Red Barn. Now listen up, in just a couple of seconds, I'm going to give you a promo code to save 10% off your next purchase. In fact, all of your purchases over at Red Barn. Now these guys not only support Animal Radio and get behind the health of your pet, they're now in the kibble business. Yeah, your favorite dog treat company is now selling kibble. And I'm looking at the side of the package with the ingredients. The first 5 ingredients feature real animal protein. That's how you know it's good. It's going to satisfy your dog's carnivore cravings. That's because your dog, well, they love meat. And these guys, Red Barn, they love your dog. Now get ready to save 10% anytime you go over to their website. Just use the promo code Animal Radio. That's all one word, Animal Radio. And you'll get 10% off your purchase. Ladybug, the studio stunt dog, loves their treats, especially their chewables, dental bones. She'll play with them for about a half hour or so before she eats it. And they're just one of the great products that Red Barn makes. And you could get 10% off anything Red Barn has over at their website at redbarn.com. Just put in the promo code Animal Radio.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hi, everybody. This is Lori Morgan reminding you to please spay or neuter your pets.
I represent low-cost airlines, and we know a lot of you are not traveling right now, and we understand. However, if you do need to travel between now and the end of the year, now is a great time to lock in some of the lowest prices we've seen in a lifetime. Hey, in normal times, we can save you up to 75%, but now airlines are practically giving away seats. We have inside deals on over 500 airlines. Here are a few sample round-trip deals we found. Seattle to Vegas, $35. Chicago to Atlanta, $85. Los Angeles to Atlanta, $100. Of course, there are some limitations, but the airlines want your business right now. And cancellation and change fees are flexible. So fly somewhere this year, book now, save a ton, call right now.
802-341-4532, 802-341-4532, 802-341-4532. That's 802-341-4532.
Hi, this is Mayim Bialik on Animal Radio. Please adopt a pet.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio. If you're a dog owner or even a cat owner and you look down at your animal, do you wonder what they know, what they really are aware of? How aware are they? Do they have a sense of humor? Do they laugh when you tell them a joke? Because I think my dogs, they laugh all the time. My
do
cats
they laugh
too.
At you?
They do. I don't know if they're laughing at me. I think they're just laughing at the jokes or whatever I have to say. But
Do they love you or the food? That's what I want to know.
Really? I'm pretty sure it's the food. Yeah. We're going to find out in just a few minutes. Gregory Berns is a neuroscientist. Would that be a doctor? Would that be Dr. Gregory Berns? Should I be addressing him as a doctor?
Like 3 times over, I believe.
He'll be on in just a few minutes, and he'll tell us what it's like to be a dog. And I think he's been on before. Is that correct, Judy?
I think so.
Okay.
He's written, I think, several books.
It's hard to remember all the guests.
We've had quite a few.
Yes, we have. Lori, what are you working on over there in the newsroom? We're about 10 minutes away from news, by the way.
Got a huge story. You guys have probably, I don't know if you've heard or not, but a big story about an international fraud ring that distributed phony, very fake, flea and tick medications for pets all over the country. So if you haven't heard about it, we're going to update you on that, tell you the latest place where that case stands and how many more people there are to catch and what you need to know.
Okay. I understand that there's a really good chance that you listening to the radio, me right here, that we've all been duped by this whole
Pretty
thing.
good.
So we'll find out in just a few minutes right here on Animal Radio. Hey, Deb, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Where are you today?
New Jersey. I'm at home.
In Jersey. How can we help you?
I have 2 miniature schnauzers, and one of them is a white schnauzer, about 8 years old, and she licks her paws constantly, and she's got brown paws because of it.
And is it just her paws that she's licking at, or are there other areas?
No, just her paws.
And I'd imagine she probably has that nice, lovely kind of reddish-brown kind of stain to that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Typically, when we see paw licking, you will see that kind of staining of the fur, especially if it's a white-coated dog or a light in color, and that's from a pigment in their saliva, and it's called porphyrin, and it causes a brown staining. So you wouldn't believe how many times I hear people say there's blood all over their feet, and it's actually that pigment that they're seeing. Yeah. So when that is happening, the first thing we go looking for, beyond broken toenails or any kind of injuries in between the toes, is we really look at things like allergies. And white schnauzers, I sympathize with you because they can have their share of skin problems. And looking at the paws is just part of that. As far as allergy-wise, could be allergies to things in the air, can be food. So there's a lot of different directions we might go with this baby. Do you have her on any kind of medications? Have you tried anything so far?
Yeah, so far we've changed her food a few times. Now she's on medicine, but that doesn't seem to be helping.
Okay.
She's also on 2 5-milligram pills of prednisone every other day. And I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working, but then when I stop, it seems like it was working.
Okay. Alrighty.
And that's about all we've tried so far.
Okay. Now, at any point, have we done any kind of sampling from her toe areas, from her feet? Has your veterinarian looked at that to see if there's any infections there?
Yes, the vet has looked several times. We've brought her in maybe a half a dozen times over the 2 years we've had her.
Okay. Well, as far as if we're dealing with just a presumed diagnosis of allergies, then there's a lot of different ways we can go here. I personally always like to get some sampling from the area because if we have any kind of yeast infection or bacterial infection on top of things, even prednisone isn't going to be enough to tackle that. But some of the better allergy therapies we can try, if you're really interested in this, we can get into things like allergy testing and getting a pet on allergy shots to help prevent some of the signs of the itching, the licking, the chewing, all of that. There's also a wonderful medicine called cyclosporin that I use for a lot of dogs that have chronic problems, especially when prednisone doesn't do enough. So that might be an option that we can get at. All of those different directions, and then a good fatty acid supplement into the food. And then the venison diet that you're using, I'm assuming you're not using other treats or snacks or goodies along with that.
I wasn't for like the past year, and then we just bought some milk bones.
Okay. Because you know what that does then, right?
No, I don't.
If we're on a special diet, a diet that you're spending extra money on, and you give treats or you give snacks or table food or anything, you're just flushing all that money down the toilet because a hypoallergenic diet does no good if we still have other foodstuffs in the diet that can interfere with that. So if we really want to be sincere about giving it a good effort on that venison-based diet, you need to eliminate all those other things.
That's like going to Burger King and ordering the biggest burger they had and then getting a Diet Coke, right? I mean, it just...
Hey, I do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But yes, if you're counting calories, that's the wrong thing to do. And it goes the same way with this food allergies and food trials. So if we really want to be very strict and give it the best oomph for the money, you need to really be faithful with that. And you can even try maybe looking into a different way of doing a food allergy trial. And you might try a hydrolyzed protein diet. There's one by Purina called HA. Royal Canin has one called HP. There's all these different ones out there, but that might be another avenue. If you think that you've given this a fair shot and it hasn't worked out, give that a whirl as well.
Okay, very good.
We wish you the best of luck, Deb.
Well, thank you very much for your help. I appreciate it.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hi, this is NASCAR driver Corey Joyce on Animal Radio, and spay and neuter your pets.
I represent low-cost airlines, and we know a lot of you are not traveling right now, and we understand. However, if you do need to travel between now and the end of the year, now is a great time to lock in some of the lowest prices we've seen in a lifetime. Hey, in normal times, we can save you up to 75%, but now airlines are practically giving away seats. We have inside deals on over 500 airlines. Here are a few sample round-trip deals we found. Seattle to Vegas, $35. Chicago to Atlanta, $85. Los Angeles to Atlanta, $100. Of course, there are some limitations, but the airlines want your business right now. And cancellation and change fees are flexible. So fly somewhere this year, book now, save a ton, call right now.
802-341-4532, 802-341-4532, 802-341-4532. That's 802-341-4532.
This is an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified and puts the treat into treatment. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I'm Lori Brooks. There's a new break, a big one, in that big money international fraud that targeted those of us who buy flea and tick medication for our pets. Pretty scary, right? The latest break in the counterfeit investigation comes after a California man admitted in federal court that, yes, he had been selling unregistered and smuggled in animal pesticides online for 15 years.
Wow.
So you're thinking, oh, good, I don't buy that online. Well, listen up. Because the phony products were sold at pet stores, too, in every state in the country. But it's more than just the U.S. that's been duped here. The anti-flea and tick products were sold all over Europe, the Caribbean, and Africa as well. And this guy made $2.5 million in profit, just this guy. So now, a grand total of 7 men have pleaded guilty in this scam, with one more guy to catch. An alleged major supplier in the ring is still an international fugitive, and he is in fact believed to be in the Cayman Islands, so at least police are on to him. So you're thinking, if you're, like any pet owner, which I thought too, hey, did I get swindled in this scam? It is entirely possible. Authorities say the phony products were labeled with well-known brand names. I was thinking it was going to be like Flea X or, Tick X or, something off the wall.
Sure.
No, they were labeled with such well-known names as Frontline and Advantix. And they actually had a printer in California who did all of the box printing so that it looked identical to what you would buy.
I have to chime in on this because, veterinarians get a lot of rap. People think, veterinarians are just marking up products to make a buck. This is one reason why your veterinarian is the honest, trustworthy source of veterinary products. And sometimes trying to save a buck can put your pet in jeopardy. So, this is what happens when people are kind of looking around for the best deal possible. And, buyer beware. When it's cheap, there's a reason.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, Lori. These were actually marketed to veterinarians as well as online? Do you know?
Their quote on that was that it entered the legitimate pet pharmaceutical marketplace. And that is according to federal investigators without any detection whatsoever. And this has been going on for 15 years. And even, yes, some of the big name chain stores received some of the fake stuff. There was absolutely, looking at the packaging, no way to tell.
And was it just fake? It wasn't real? Is that what the deal was?
It's fake in that it wasn't really Advantix or Frontline. What it was, because the Federal Trade Commission is investigating. So what happened, these guys were actually licensed to buy these pesticides for, I believe it was Africa, for another country. But the problem is that each country, each continent, different areas have different requirements for medications and pesticides. Also, the drug, Dr. Debbie, you probably use ciprofloxacin a lot. That drug was also involved in this scam because the guys were licensed to buy it, but for different areas. They put it into the United States, and that's what happened. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, and I know that with veterinary products, there's a chain of custody that is involved, and that is something that drug manufacturers hold very dear. Now, once, say, if I wanted to make a buck and sell a product on the black market, it then leaves my hands and goes on the black market. So, not saying that couldn't happen, but it sounds like what you're talking about is through more retail outlets, is that this is kind of more the issue there.
But if you're trying to protect your pet from ticks or fleas, you were putting something on them that it wasn't as it was labeled to be. And also then you can get Lyme disease, or your pet can get Lyme disease even from, and you think you're protecting it. So not
it's all
cool
about
in any way.
Proper handling of medication. This is something people wouldn't do when you order medications from foreign countries. How is that being stored? Is it been in a 120-degree warehouse? So you can have degradation of product, and that can affect not just efficacy but safety. So that's why I say buyer beware. Price should not be your only motivator for finding medications.
Back when I used those topicals, or those that you put on the back of their neck there, I noticed that they became less and less effective, and I wonder, was I a part of that?
Duped.
Was I duped?
Dr. Debbie, what I'm wondering about is the ciprofloxacin. And so I'm not so much concerned about the flea and tick medicine personally, but boy, when you think you're giving your pet an antibiotic, but a lot of vets these days don't sell the medications in their offices anymore. So how do we protect against that?
Well, the best thing I can advise people is, work with your veterinarian. If they do carry the product in-house, then I have faith in that. If they do not, then I usually write a prescription and have someone fill that at a local human pharmacy. We always want to have a product that is actually already made and standardized. So we compound when we have to. So that means making it up into special liquids or concentrations. But even that, there's some question on, is it efficacious? Is it actually, are you getting the amount of drug into the pet that you're supposed to be because of the different processing and carriers and so forth? So I really recommend to work with reputable on-the-ground pharmacies whenever possible, and really try to reserve using mail-order pharmacies, internet pharmacies, unless you have a good relationship with them. I look for the VetVips logo, which is a endorsing body for internet pharmacies, that they follow certain criteria, that they make sure there's a legitimate relationship with a veterinarian, that you're not just calling and saying, hey, I want Cipro for my dog, and treating it without any kind of true need. And they also have standards for storage and delivery of those type of medications. So that gives some consumers some comfort that they're not going in that horrible gray market where they don't know what's going on.
I tell you, I'm one of those people who always thought, the vet just wants to make some money off of this, that special food or that flea and tick medication. But I would feel much better buying it from you now after hearing this.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's, competition, competition is driving veterinarians away from stocking these things, and it's no longer worthwhile. Veterinarians are getting accused for marking products up, and, everyone's got to, make a profit on things that sit on your shelf. So whether it's through us or through a local pharmacy, I don't care where it goes. I just want it to be reputable.
The website, tripswithpets.com, has unveiled its brand new list of dog-friendly breweries across America. I don't drink beer, but hey, a winery, too, I'm sure is included in there. It joins their list of dog-friendly restaurants, beaches, and other attractions. Plus, they also feature on this site airline and car rental policies for pets, just so you know, and pet-friendly vacation activities. For example, did you know you can take your pet on a whale watching trip, mining excursions for gems, go to wine tastings, apple picking activities too? Some of these allow pets, and they will tell you which ones. I think that's cool. So it's not just, dog parks around the country. It was, I think this is a great endorsement. By Consumer Reports, they named it Best Pet Travel Site. And they started out back in 2003, but they've really grown now. They're, in fact, partnering with the big names like Expedia for pet-friendly hotels and lodging, which they even feature some bed and breakfast and vacation rentals that are pet-friendly. And police in Cleveland are looking for spam. And we're not talking about that horrible stuff that comes in a can.
Hey, wait. I love that stuff.
What? Do you really? You probably like Vienna sausages, too.
No, I'll pass on the Vienna sausages. But
they're not looking for your email trash either. But what they're looking for is spam, this little 15-pound pet pig that was stolen from his home during a recent break-in. And the owner says this little guy is just terror on four hooves, and she's worried. And, she said the burglar, hey, you guys, you can keep my electronics and all my jewelry, but please just give spam back. Apparently, though, the thief was captivated by this tiny pig because obviously they took it, or he took it, or she took it. But Spam's siblings, a dog and a cat, were still there when the owner got home after the break-in. So, I mean, I wonder if their feelings were hurt that
they weren't stolen.
Didn't want them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Spam.
It's a cute pig, though. But I try not to feature mini pigs, not many pigs, but mini pigs, because they called it a mini pig. And, I think we all know that there really is no such thing.
They grow up and they get big.
Yeah, we just had, 175-pound mini pig in the other day.
Holy moly.
Are you for real?
Yeah. She was a little on the heavy side, shall we say. But, yeah, she was a mini potbelly pig.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
Oh, my
They don't all stay little.
I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. The veterinarian isn't typically thought of as your pet's favorite place to go. With Fear Free, that all changes. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I represent low-cost airlines, and we know a lot of you are not traveling right now, and we understand. However, if you do need to travel between now and the end of the year, now is a great time to lock in some of the lowest prices we've seen in a lifetime. Hey, in normal times, we can save you up to 75%, but now airlines are practically giving away seats. We have inside deals on over 500 airlines. Here are a few sample round-trip deals we found. Seattle to Vegas, $35. Chicago to Atlanta, $85. Los Angeles to Atlanta, $100. Of course, there are some limitations, but the airlines want your business right now. And cancellation and change fees are flexible. So fly somewhere this year, book now, save a ton, call right now.
802-341-4532, 802-341-4532, 802-341-4532. That's 802-341-4532.
Hi, this is Judith Chapman from Young and the Restless at CBS, and I'm on Animal Radio right now, and I'm asking everyone out there to please spay and neuter your pets.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It's Animal Radio, celebrating the connection with our pets. We'll head back to the phones for Dr. Debbie and Joy Villani after this from the free Animal Radio app for iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry. Does anyone actually own a BlackBerry?
I don't know. I don't even know if they exist anymore.
I think it's a Washington, D.C. thing, isn't it? Politician, a lot of politicians. Seriously, I think a lot of those.
You're right. I know some people who still would do anything to get a BlackBerry.
What do you know? Hey, you know who we have on Skype with us right now is Gregory Berns. He's the distinguished professor of neuroeconomics at Emory University. He's a neuroscientist, much smarter than all of us here. Put together, even with Dr. Debbie in the mix here. Gregory, how are you doing?
Great to be here.
You have a book out called What It's Like to Be a Dog. Why did you decide to study dogs?
Well, it didn't begin that way. So my career has been using MRI and brain imaging technologies to actually study the human brain and how structures in the human brain give rise to various human emotions and how we process things like reward and risk and decision making. And it was about 6 years ago, I think, when I actually began wondering whether my own dogs felt anything like the way I do towards them, and had the idea of training dogs to go into the MRI completely awake, completely unrestrained, to see what they're thinking.
Well, wait a second. You can't barely get me into an MRI machine without freaking out. How do you get dogs in there and get them to sit still? Because they got to for that kind of imaging, don't they?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's exactly the same as for humans. And so, for those of you who haven't had an MRI, probably the biggest thing for humans is that it's very claustrophobic because it's a very tiny space, and it's really loud, kind of like a jackhammer. And so what we did was we built simulators of an MRI. So I still have in my basement a big tube to simulate that.
Wow.
And then we started just kind of working through it piecemeal. And we basically made it a big game for the dogs, because the dogs don't have any preconceptions about what an MRI is. And so by pairing it with lots of treats and lots of praise and balls and games, we made it just a big fun machine for them.
I think it would be safe to say that you were the first and probably the only person ever to do that.
We think so.
What did you learn?
So when we started, we did very simple things like teaching them hand signals, like one hand signal means hot dog and another hand signal means nothing. And what that did was that allowed us to zero in on their reward systems to confirm that it functions basically the same as human reward systems. And then as the dogs got better at this and we got more and more dogs and their people volunteering for the project, we did more complicated things like look at the relative value of food versus praise to the dogs. And so this was kind of a key question to me, whether dogs are essentially our friends just for the food or whether they have anything like love for us. And what we found was that indeed their reward systems activated just as much just to things like praise, saying good boy, good girl, as much as food. And in many dogs, it was even more than to food.
So were there any certain breeds of dogs that were easier to work with or gave you better answers?
Well, we have a lot of retrievers in the project, but I think that's largely reflecting how popular that breed is. And we have lots of shelter animals, too. So just lots of mixes. And my own dog, Callie, was the first to volunteer, and she came from a shelter. So there's so much variation between the breeds, both physically and somewhat temperamentally, that we haven't really attempted to answer breed-specific questions. But what I can tell you is that there's a tremendous variation from one dog to another. And this, I guess, is not too surprising coming from the human literature, where we find big differences between people. So when we ask the question what it's like to be a dog, that makes almost as much sense as saying what it's like to be a person. And really what we're studying now is what makes one dog the way they are relative to another dog.
What about with respect to empathy or humor, sense of humor? Were you able to find any of these?
Well, we haven't looked at humor. I mean, that's actually quite difficult even to study in humans because it's obviously very subjective. But one of the things that we have studied, and this actually is an element of humor, is the result of surprise. So to us, things are funny because something is surprising in a particularly novel way. And so it's clear that dogs' brains respond to surprising things in many of the same ways as we do. And it seems to be a key part of their reward systems as well. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call that humor, but I would call that expectations and surprise as being quite important to them.
What would you say the one thing that even surprised you, that you came away saying, wow, this is truly incredible?
Probably the experiment we did a couple of years ago looking at how they process faces. So prior to doing this, it had been known that there are parts of the human brain and even other primates that are dedicated to processing faces. And I guess this is not too surprising considering how social we are and how much information facial expressions carry for us. But it wasn't known whether any other animals cared about it like we do. And so we set up an experiment where we showed pictures to the dogs while they were in the scanner. And the pictures were dog faces, human faces, as well as everyday objects. And just like humans, we found that they have a dedicated part of the brain to processing faces. It's really incredible.
It sounds like an incredible book. I'm going to try to crack it open today and learn a little more about what you've learned, what it's like to be a dog, and other adventures in animal neuroscience. The author, Gregory Berns, joining us. I have 5 copies to give away.
Yes.
If you're not lucky enough to get on through, head on over to Amazon or your favorite bookstore and pick it up. What it's like to be a dog. Gregory, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Find us at animalradio.com. Log on, learn more.
Start your dog's daily dental routine with Red Barn's new dental treats, Chewables. Thoughtfully designed with ridges and grooves to help control plaque and tartar buildup in between your dog's dental vet visits. Chewables are natural, easily digestible, and your dog will love them. Red Barn Chewables, the tastiest way to brush your dog's teeth. Learn more at redbarn.com today.
Use the promo code ANIMALRADIO and you'll get 10% off your purchase.
Celebrating the connection with our pets. This is Animal Radio, featuring veterinarian Dr. Debbie White, groomer Joey Villani, news director Lori Brooks. And now, from the Red Barn Studios, here are your hosts, Hal Abrams and Judy Francis.
If you're listening right now, no doubt you probably spoil your pets. You probably treat them maybe better than you.
I do.
Yeah, I think we all do here.
See, I don't think about it as being spoiled. I just treat them like I'd want to be treated.
Yeah, well, you treat them pretty good. You paint Ladybug's toenails.
Yes, I do.
You give her little salon treatments and nice baths and all kinds of things. There are resorts now, and you probably knew this. There are resorts there that are specifically designed for dogs and cats.
Mm-hmm.
And these resorts, they'll pamper your animals. They'll treat them absolutely wonderful. You're not allowed to go there, unfortunately. Only the animals. And there's actually a brand new one, part of a chain. An $8 million building was built in Rockville, Maryland. It's the Old Town Pet Resort. Really, $8 million to build a pet resort? They must be raking in some cash there.
Yeah, how can they afford to build something like that?
Now, we do know the pet industry is a $65 billion a year industry, and it's growing exponentially. So we're spending the money, apparently, to put our animals in these resorts. We have a friend, Kathy Alter. She's a journalist for the Washingtonian magazine and some other trades, and she got the honor of spending a night in this Old Town Pet Resort.
What?
And I know it's a dog and cat only resort.
Fun.
Yeah.
But she was able to finagle her way in and spend the night there so that she can find out what it's like to be a dog or a cat staying at this posh pet resort.
That's really cool because I've had people ask if they could stay and they would be willing to sleep in a dog's kennel so they could be with their pet at night.
Really?
I have, yes. I've had to almost fight people off the doors because they insisted they wanted to sleep with their pet when it was hospitalized. And I just explained, we're not approved for that. I can't have you sleep in the clinic.
Yeah. Oh, and the clinic's not as posh as one of these resorts, but I can understand them wanting to be with their pet, certainly. So we'll talk to Kathy in about 20 minutes from now, right here on Animal Radio, and she'll tell us what it's like to be in one of those resorts overnight. Lori, what are you working on over there in the newsroom?
There is one state in the nation that is going to be, I would bet, if anybody wants to bet on this, is going to be the first in the nation to become the first anti-puppy mill state, statewide, the whole state.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm thinking New York.
That'd be cool.
New York or Jersey, probably.
It's a big state, so...
No?
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, right.
Not Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's right. I get that.
I think it's the number one state for puppy mills. So we'll find out which state it is coming up in just a few minutes right here on Animal Radio.
Did you guys tune in? Did you see the video my clinic did on baby talk?
No. What? Oh, when you mean baby talking to your animals?
Baby talking in the veterinary office.
Oh,
and so
I hate people that do that.
Praise is just as strong, if not stronger, than food as a reward system for dogs. Wow. And I think that's something we have to mention, as much as we all love to feed our dogs. That
what are you saying?
Verbal praise.
A little verbal praise instead of a treat is what you're saying?
Goes a long way.
Absolutely. A good boy can go a long way.
I don't think so. If someone comes up and says, Hal, you're being a good boy, or they offer me a Big Mac, I'm probably going to go for the Big Mac.
Oh, come on now. If someone tells you, hey, Hal, you did a great job. You impressed me. I would use your services again. You're a reputable guy. Now, don't you feel good hearing something like that?
Maybe a double-decker cheeseburger.
Oh, stop it.
Really? It is veterinary. In the veterinary world, baby talk has a real place. We talk in this high-pitched, squeaky voice. It gets dogs' attention. It works with babies. And we use it as a reward. So there's times when we're doing something to, say, a puppy or a kitten, and we want it to be a fun, upbeat experience. So we maybe baby talk them through the whole thing so they don't even notice they're getting vaccines or getting a temperature. And it's just such a fun way to get what we need to do done. And I encourage you to watch the video. It's a lot of fun. Some of my staff has a superior way of baby talking. And
okay, we'll link to it from animalradio.pet.
Yeah, I must have missed that one.
The reason they're distracted from the shot is they're going, why is Daddy and Mommy talking to me like that? That is the silliest thing. Can't they talk to me like I'm a grown dog? I mean, really?
Well, perhaps. But, in the vet world, it really can be a great reward for an animal. And then, I just love it. And, I think it's fun. If I spoil your baby and baby dog to the puppy dog, is that a problem?
You see, that's exactly, if I talk to you like that, Dr. Deb, if I said, you're such a good doctor, you would think that I'm patronizing you.
Talk,
yeah, that wasn't very good.
Dr. Debbie. I can't even do one either.
Wouldn't you think we were patronizing you? And don't you think the animals think the same thing?
I think there's certain animals that don't find it fun and don't find it really high in their value system. Like Boss. I don't really baby talk him too much, but there's certain things I'll say, what a good boy. And he looks at me and he goes, it excites them. It gets their attention. But when I talk to Boss regularly, I talk to him like I am to you right now, because he's a very intelligent boy, and I'm not minimizing his intelligence, but there's times when it's appropriate.
Okay.
There are two women who baby talk to Tater, and every time they do, he gets so excited it's like he can hardly hold his wiggling butt on himself. It just goes side to side, and then he picks up his own leash like he's walking himself. It's the funniest thing. Yeah, it's very sweet, but
he's a good boy. He's such a good boy.
If you want to talk to Dr. Debbie right now, just be a good girl, a good boy. Pick up the phone right now and call Dr. Debbie.
You sound like Adam Sandler in his movies when
yes,
he makes that voice.
You do it either, Hal.
You need practice, Hal. You need practice.
Baby talk practice. Huh?
Yes, you do. You can practice on me later.
Ooh.
Cover the ears.
Don't we have a company policy again about that stuff?
Okay, I embarrassed myself.
Eeny, meeny, miny, Jessica. Hey, Jessica, how are you doing?
I'll tell you, my question is, we have 2 cats and 2 dogs and a bearded dragon and many animals that we've had through the years, but a couple of years ago, a friend of mine told me that you do not have to routinely trim your cat's claws. That actually, if you look around your house, you'll see where the top of the claw sheds off.
Yeah.
And as long as they have things to scratch on in your house, you don't ever need to trim them. That they're kind of take care of themselves. It seems crazy to me that I ignored my cat paws for about 6 months, and they haven't grown out and grown around into their skin. So I thought I'd ask your opinion on that.
Sure. Well, the big question is if you're comfortable with the feel of your cat's nails, because it is true that cats that have provided scratching surfaces will remove the sheaths or the layers of the nails. So their nails grow a little bit different. They just don't grow out. They grow out and up. So it's kind of more like an onion. So when they scratch, they're actually cracking off the top layers of the nail. The problem is, for some folks, that nail that's left beneath there is sharp. It can be uncomfortable. So you don't have to trim the nails for that benefit if they're breaking off those sheaths. But because some people find that it's still uncomfortable to have the tips of the nail catching on their clothing, their bedding, that they may like to have the tips trimmed for that comfort's sake. Now, the other thing would be for cats and dogs in the household. I think that sometimes that can help to avoid some potential like eye injuries if we have a little bit shorter nails on a cat than if they have that really kind of razor sharp tip, should they take a swipe at the dog's eye or something like that. Most dogs you'd think would kind of learn their lesson from a well-respected cat in the household, but that's just one other thing that can do. So for me, I do like to trim cat's nails every now and then, and it just depends on your cat and how well and how often they do their kneading and their cat claw stretching around the house. But I like to do it like every month or every couple months. And the one thing I would say is that it's very important to make sure your cat can at least tolerate nail trims. Because, that's always kind of a joke in the vet office. We brought my cat in for a nail trim and we go, oh yeah, great. Cat that's never had its nails trimmed. Let's see how that goes over. But I think part of that is to get them used to that when they're younger. Because a lot of senior cats have real problems with nail accumulation. So as they get more arthritic with age, they don't tend to break off those sheaths. That they don't do that naturally, whether it's from discomfort, or just a medical disease in general. And I do see a lot of senior cats, and we're talking cats usually over 12, that start to have problems where the sheath layers keep building up, and it's very easy for the nail to grow into the foot pad. So I just like to do a little bit of preventative maintenance to make sure our young adult cats can tolerate having their nails trimmed, so we don't get to that 12, 13-year-old cat that will just have a meltdown if we have to trim those nails and help them out in their senior years.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much.
Yeah. How old are your kittens? Or are they kittens or cats?
Oh, no, they're cats, 9 and 10.
Oh, okay. So they're up.
Oh, yeah. So they're in the prime of their lives. And do they run the household? I got to ask.
They do. We acquired another dog. We had one dog. We have an Australian cattle dog, and he came into the household after the cat. And so they batted him around a little bit and showed him they were bought, and so he avoids them like the plague. And then about a year ago, we got a pit bull, and she's been around cats. She's great with cats. But I think the cats haven't figured out what she is yet, because sometimes they'll approach her, they'll touch noses, and then they walk away, and they still laugh the other dog just terribly. So it's been kind of funny to watch. I think they're kind of like, she must be a big cat. We're not sure what she is. I don't know, But anyway, it's, yes, the cats, they, of course, rule the roost.
Aw, super.
Well, give them a hug from all of us here at Animal Radio, Jessica, and thanks so much for calling and listening to Animal Radio. We certainly appreciate that. Calling from Florida. We get a lot of calls from Florida today. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah, definitely.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
Hey, don't forget you can get your fix of Animal Radio anytime you want with the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android. Download it now. It's made possible by Fear-Free Pets, taking the pet out of petrified. Visit them at fearfreehappyhomes.com.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Ross on Animal Radio. Please remember to spay and neuter your pets.
All of us here at Fido Friendly Magazine can't wait to get on the road again with our favorite Fido. We know that it's just not a vacation without our furry companions by our side. Start daydreaming now and visit FidoFriendly.com to scout out places near and far so you will be ready for your next adventure once it's safe to travel. That's FidoFriendly.com. Until then, stay safe and leave no dog behind.
You're listening to Animal Radio. Call the Dream Team now with the free Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It is Animal Radio, and not a week goes by that I don't say to Judy, I wish I was your dog, because, boy, she really spoils Ladybug.
I treat her like I want to be treated. She's my child.
We're going to talk to a lady who spent the night in a dog resort, one of these huge dog resorts in Maryland, where they give them top-of-the-line treatments, spa treatments, and swimming and all kinds of things like that. She wanted to find out what it was like, so she actually spent the night at one of these resorts, and she'll be checking in with us in just a few minutes to let us know what it's all about. So stick around for that. I believe we have Sandy on line 1. Hi, Sandy.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thanks. I'm the grandmother of this puppy, and I have the dog sit for 2 weeks, so I need some help.
Okay.
Okay.
We have a 2.5-year-old lab mix. I think he's lab and perhaps some pit. He looks an awful lot just like a lab. Great, wonderful dog, but he has this habit of running outside and running to a particular tree in the backyard and eating all the bark off of it as high as he can reach.
Ooh.
And it is very much, we think, an attention-getting behavior, but it's just immediate. And they've just purchased a new home, and he's already got one tree in the backyard destroyed, and then in a rental house where they were before, he did the very same thing. So he just picks the biggest tree, and he runs to it, and he reaches up and just starts gnawing on the tree.
That is crazy. I can just kind of picture one of my dear Labradors doing that same thing.
Well, have you got any suggestions?
Yeah, I sure do. And they're not going to be easy fixes. That's the thing I'll start with, is that it certainly very well could be that this is an attention-seeking behavior, especially if, when you notice it, the arms go up and you go, hey, what are you doing? Stop it!
That does happen, and he wants to make sure you've seen him do it, because he'll turn around and look and make sure somebody's looking.
Oh, sure. It's a game then. That can be at least part of his trigger for that. And that's hard because we don't want him to do that. The instinct is to correct them when they do this. But the root of the problem is that we got to get back to the square one. One is we have to decrease his access to this tree or to any favored tree that he might do this to. And the other thing is we've got to get his activity level up. We've got to get him tired. We've got to get him mentally stimulated. Dogs who do this type of behavior, whether it's chewing a tree or chewing your baseboards, your drywall, they are bored. And as much as we would like to think that we are the end and the be-all of their world, they can do so much more. And that may be things like sporting events, get them out running, get on a bicycle, have them follow along with you. We've got to get this guy tired. A sleepy or tired dog will be less apt to be destructive and to have these kind of behaviors. So that's definitely one of the biggest things.
Okay.
Decreasing the opportunity is going to be a couple different ways that we can do that. If he's going outdoors to do his business, we can do that by, instead of letting him have free rein, take him out on leash. Take him out and actually supervise his activities outside. If he's left to his own devices, that's our mistake. That's not his mistake. So then we have to take back that access and control. Now, if that's not possible all the time, there may be ways to do fencing or even invisible fencing, which can be very helpful, especially people in rural areas where it's very hard to kind of keep a dog from accessing certain areas. And many dogs will respond very well to that.
Okay, backyard is fenced in, but it's not very big. So you're thinking maybe putting a fencing around the tree or something just so he can't get at it?
That's one thing. The other would be to use invisible fencing, which is basically it's a whole kind of apparatus you can have installed where if there's an area, a zone in the yard where you don't want a dog to go, and sometimes we use this for fence jumpers. So you put the invisible fence line up in front of the fence or the wall so that the dog doesn't get close to that. And then when they get close, they get an audio stimulation. If they don't, then they can get a zap. And it's not for every situation, but for dogs that we just have no other way to control their access, then we can move to this. But my first choice is always just to go with the human control. It's not a replacement for us being lazy. We should really take control of the dog first and foremost and control their comings and goings. Right. And then the other thing is that we want to definitely give a lot of opportunity for the oral outlet, for that chewing need. And we can't do it by itself, but add that into this whole mix of things. So we offer food that he has to kind of work for. Those little busy cubes where you can hide dog food in them or treats and make him work for his food so that he's not working to chew on some other inanimate object. Okay. Many people will also kind of put the food in the yard and separate the feeding several times a day and kind of let them kind of work for their food in that way. So you got a lot of work here. That's the challenge with it. But you can definitely get to the bottom of this. The really big point is that there's no easy way out. And it's got to be a concerted effort with everyone in the house to make sure we're supervising this young buck.
We're all with you, Sandy. Thank you for your call.
Dogs or cats, horse or emu, animals are people too.
A dog owner in Scotland wasn't sure what to make of his dog's rattling stomach. When Chris Morrison took his dog Oscar to the vet, he had no idea what was wrong with his 5-year-old lab. The vet suspected Oscar might have eaten something other than dog food, but when he went into his stomach, he was stunned. Vet Bob Hesketh found 13 golf balls. One of them was black from having been inside Oscar for so long. Oscar's owner explained that he and Oscar loved to take long walks on the golf course at night and in the early morning. He knew Oscar liked golf balls and enjoyed bringing them home. He had no idea he was swallowing them. Oscar's now on a diet of watered-down food until his stomach heals, and although he can still go for walks on the golf course, he wears a muzzle as part of his no golf ball diet. I'm Britt Savage for Animal Radio.
Animals are people too. Animal Radio.
Your dog loves meat. That's why they'll love the new line of Red Barn dry dog food. The first 5 ingredients in each Red Barn recipe are meat, fish, or poultry, sure to satisfy your dog's carnivore cravings. The added functional ingredients make Red Barn dry dog foods the perfectly balanced meal for your best friend. Available in land, ocean, and sky recipes. Your dog loves meat. We love your dog. Head to redbarn.com to use the promo Animal Radio for 10% off your first bag.
This is an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. Fear Free takes the pet out of petrified and puts the treat into treatment. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
I'm Lori Brooks. I think there's a pet saying where there should be, kind of like the political saying, but maybe with pets, it's as California goes, so goes the nation. You're going to be hearing a lot more about this California Assembly bill, AB 485, because it's looking to take a stand against puppy mills. And you're thinking, oh, gosh, everybody's doing this. Well, if this is passed in California, it's going to put into effect a statewide ban on the sale of puppy mill pets in pet stores, allowing only adoptable pets from legitimate shelters and nonprofit rescue groups. And this will be the first one that it happens statewide. The passage of AB 485 would make it the very first time that an entire state has enacted a law like this, and it's expected to, in fact, pass pretty easily. Now the bill will head back to the Assembly for what they call a procedural vote. Animal advocates say by passing this bill, California is going to cut off the supply to inhumanely bred puppies and prevent consumers from unknowingly possibly supporting puppy mills. And many state lawmakers say they see cutting off the puppy mill supply chain as a very important first step to putting unethical pet breeders out of business in the state for good.
This is statewide, that would be the first statewide one, but I think it's important to point out that both New York and California, many of the cities, the major cities, already have this ban in place.
Right. I think there's, 35 towns in California that it's in place already, but that's not enough. You know, I think California does lead the nation when it comes to the ways of pets.
Oh, we hope.
I'm Lori Brooks. Get more breaking animal news anytime at animalradio.com.
This has been an Animal Radio News Update brought to you by Fear Free. The veterinarian isn't typically thought of as your pet's favorite place to go. With Fear Free, that all changes. To learn more and find a certified Fear Free veterinary professional near you, visit fearfreepets.com.
Live at the Red Barn Studios, you're listening to Animal Radio. Here's Hal and Judy.
Hey, Isaac. How you doing?
Fine.
What's up?
I have a German Shepherd that I've adopted, basically. He's a rescue dog. We work patrol together. I'm training him to be a police canine dog, okay? We do security. And he just leaves hair all over the place in the car. So he's the hairiest dog I've ever had. I've had a few. And, I mean, he gets in the car, and he shakes, shakes it off of him. So I'm thinking, so that's kind of the second question is that shaking a tick thing, or or is it it's a normal routine for him to kind of shed the hair too to help your hair fall off?
Usually something like this will start with nutrition. So I don't know what you're feeding him. The other thing is how frequently do you have him groomed?
I've never had him groomed.
Okay, you definitely want to try that. And what you want to tell your professional groomer is, my dog is shedding like mad. I need to do a deep de-shedding. Now, this is also something that you can do at home.
Okay.
If you go to your local, and most of the pet department stores sell what they call carding, C-A-R-D-I-N-G tools. And what it is, it's a deep shedding, de-shedding comb. And it works wonders. It's the same thing your professional groomer is going to do probably for about an hour if they do the right job. But if you do it at home, if you just did it 15 minutes a night to begin with, and what it's going to do, it's going to pull out all of that loose coat.
And the comb, is that the comb called carding?
It's
a
carding.
C-A-R-D-I-N-G?
Correct. It's a carding comb. It's a deep shedding comb, because some of the people might not understand the terminology carding, but if you ask for a deep shedding comb, they sell them. There's a bunch of different types.
So they would, right? Is that correct?
Absolutely. Even some of your local big department chains will have them, like Target and those type of stores also will have them. So if you don't have a pet place nearby you, I would go to one of your major department stores as well, because usually they carry them.
Okay.
If you do that 15 minutes a night, that's going to make a huge difference. But here's the other thing, and this might be a twofold problem for you. When dogs get excited, when they get nervous, when they get happy, when their temperament just changes, it's normal that they're going to shed excessively during that period of time. It just their coat just comes out. It's very normal. Now, the work that you're doing, you're teaching him, I don't know, to be a guard dog or whatever. Well, the excitement level definitely is going to go up when he's training. So that's why I definitely can understand why it's happening in your car, because it's probably happening after you're going through the training, or even before, because pets they go into the car, they get excited, they're going to shed a little bit more. You definitely can reduce it by using that carding comb. But remember one thing, it's a natural process. The dog is going to shed. You can control it a little bit, but you're never going to stop it, no matter what, especially with the breed of dog that you have. It's just natural. It's going to happen. But I think if you went out and had them professionally groomed and followed up with your deep shedding carding type comb, I think you're going to be a lot happier.
Alan Cable spending the best part of my day with you. Last week there was a story of a restaurant manager who got into a physical confrontation with a customer who had a service dog. Service dogs are really important to a lot of people. Many times they can mean the difference between life and death, so I wanted to present this story to you.
Yeah.
His name is Johnny, he's 8 years old, and he just got a life-saving dog.
There you go, Johnny. Here's your testing. I'm good.
All right. His blood sugar needs constant monitoring.
Diabetes is a 24-hour constant worry.
So Johnny's got a little dog named Hero now who's a diabetic alert dog.
They don't run on batteries, they run on love.
She can actually smell when his blood sugar's too low. And then she nudges up against him. If that doesn't work, she gets help.
I know it's just going to be an amazing thing for him. And if anything happens, the dog will come.
Feels like she's my friend.
His mom already sees the difference.
I think it's going to give him more freedom, more confidence. Now he's not just the kid with diabetes. Now he's like a kid with diabetes and a cool dog.
This is
Animal Radio.
Hi, this is Jesse Tyler Ferguson from Modern Family. I'm on Animal Radio. Adopt a pet.
Vinny Penn back at you on Animal Radio. Party animal segment coming your way. This one passed on to me from Humble Hal Abrams, your man with the plan at Animal Radio. He seems to have a problem with guys who go on and on when it comes to neutering their dogs. And I'll tell you, it's really no different. I know exactly what he's talking about. It's really no different than those guys who have a little boy. They have a son, and they're talking about circumcision or just anything in general. Men just are very, very territorial when it comes to their offspring or their pets' privates. They feel it gives them pause, and that's P-A-U-S-E rather than P-A-W-S, which you probably hear a lot here on Animal Radio, to become stand-up comedians. My dog, he's not the same anymore. His bark's going to go from roof to roof. And they think all of a sudden they're destined for Caroline's down in New York City, or that the dog is not going to be the same. Yeah, within the first couple of days, he's not going to be the same. And yeah, he may have a look in his eyes like, dude, thanks a lot. But basically, everything your vet says about the neutering situation is true. One, we do need a bit of population control when it comes to pets. There is an overabundance of dogs and cats. The outcome is not something any pet lover, any animal lover wants to see. So it is a wise thing to do. And it does. There's nothing worse than that overheated animal who is calling your Barca lounger his girlfriend. So all of these things, all of the benefits of neutering are intact. But the guy who says, you've got to bring him to his wife. You must drop him off. I can't do it. Why? Is there a horse race that day? Is there a Sopranos marathon on A&E? Give the real answer. Don't say it has anything to do with your heart is breaking. How can a man do this to his dog? And all of these routines, guarantee it's like your father coming over to your house after you've had a vasectomy and he's like, what did you do? You're just laying there looking at it the same way your dog's going to be looking at you like, could you just kind of get out of here? I'm stitched up, a little bit tender, and your little comedy routine here is really kind of annoying me. You're really a pain in the ass right now, and that's not an area I need a pain in because I've got one kind of not far from there. I know I had one of my dogs neutered at one point, and it was the best thing we did because he was really uncomfortable. He was unsightly, to say the least. And I've got to be honest with you, I'm going to be as candid as I can be when it comes to these party animal segments. I did the little routine when I dropped him off. He was scheduled for a few hours later, and I said, let my man have some fun in the other room with some of the girl dogs before you go in there. And, of course, they're like, you want him to knock up 3 or 4 of our female pets right now before he has the incision. That's really not protocol. And you're just standing there thinking, I was just doing some stand-up. I don't know why. There's a gravitational pull of some sort for me to do a bad routine out here in the lobby. But nonetheless, there is something like that goes on. Spaying, neutering, we all know how important it is. But even more important, ixnay, the stand-up comedy, boys. I'm Vinny Penn, Party Animal, Animal Radio.
This is Animal Radio.
Okay, yeah, so puppy pads are convenient, but sometimes they're really gross. That's why Ladybug, the Animal Radio studio stunt dog, uses the Brilliant Pad self-cleaning puppy pad. It seals away the waste and replaces the dirty pad for us. Brilliant Pad keeps the Animal Radio studios smelling fresh. In fact, all we have to do is replace the roll once every few weeks. And let me tell you, that's pretty fast and easy to do. I love it, and Ladybug gives it 5 paws up. You can learn more about this amazing machine over at brilliantpad.com.
You're listening to Animal Radio. If you missed any part of today's show, visit us at animalradio.com or download the Animal Radio app for iPhone and Android.
It is Animal Radio. This is where we celebrate the connection with our pets. That could mean sending them off to a hotel for a vacation or a spa or a salon treatment. Because they do that for the animals now, and it's hard to believe, but there's a brand new hotel. It's a pet resort in Rockville. And I believe that's in Maryland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Is that? Okay. It cost $8 million to build this pet resort.
Wow.
So you know it's got to be like top of the line.
Uh-huh.
Joining us right now on the phones is Kathy Alter. Hi, Kathy. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, Hal. Hi, Judy.
Hi.
And then there's Lori over here and Dr. Debbie.
Oh, hi, everybody.
The whole gang is here for you.
There. Oh, all right. Hi.
So you're a writer, right?
Yeah, I'm a local journalist here, and I write for some national magazines as well. But since I'm in Washington, D.C., I'm always looking for something fun for me to do and then write about.
And that's exactly what you did. You went to the Old Town Pet Resort in Rockville. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's exclusively for animals, isn't that?
Yes, it is a luxury pet resort. It's actually the 3rd outpost that they've opened, and it's their most fancy in Rockville, Maryland. And I got a press release where I read about the presidential suite. And I thought, well, I wonder if I could stay in the presidential suite. And that's how it all started.
So what, you called them up and you said, hey, can I stay in the presidential suite? What did they say? What did they say?
I called the publicist and I said, do you think that they would let me stay in the presidential suite? And she knows me and knows that I'll do anything. So she said, probably. And, I mean, it happened so quickly. I write for Washingtonian Magazine, and I'd never written for them before, but I pitched the editor and said, I can spend the night in a luxury pet hotel. Do you want me to? And she emailed me back in less than a minute and said yes. So before I knew it, I had my bags packed, and I was sleeping among the dogs. The way they described the resort sounded like the Four Seasons, but it was really a lot less money. So I thought it's probably a really good deal. And I have a 6-year-old. And I thought, a night away from my husband, and that sounds great, too.
Well, explain the hotel, because, or resort, I should say, at $8 million, that sounds pretty high end.
You would not know. If I hadn't told you this was a pet resort, you'd think you were checking into the, Golden Doors or Canyon Ranch. It is really nice. It's polished stone floors and an indoor saltwater swimming pool, and they have this special air filter system so you don't smell any kind of animal smell. It's like tinkling bell music when you walk in. It's super, super fancy, and you don't realize that there's any animals staying there until you get farther back in there. But even the doors to the kennels are, airtight, so you don't hear anything, you don't see anything. And there's a room, there's like a beauty parlor, they have an exercise studio, they have this lap pool, they read bedtime stories to the animals. I mean, I love it. It was great, and I have stayed in worse places, so it was really quiet, and, it was relaxing. I had a TV in my room, and they had my favorite music playing and a Colgate University banner hanging. They did their homework, and I realized that they do that for the animals. They take special care in who's staying there. And they treat it very seriously, although I was kind of, fooling around.
Well, tell us about your stay. Did you, what did you do? Did you eat dog food? Did you
get a podicure?
I got a pod, yeah. So they picked me up in the van, where I thought I was going to have to go in the back, because I said I want to do everything the dogs do. But I got to sit up in the passenger seat, so that was pretty good. And then when I got in, they did this little pet questionnaire for me. They wanted to know my likes and dislikes and what kind of food I liked and, did I play nice with others. So I sat and I did that, and then I changed and went up to the exercise studio, and I took a Pilates class, which was really hard.
Pilates, okay.
It was really hard. The dog I did it with was like a superior athlete. I mean, this dog did not get tired. And after that, I took a swim with a big Labrador Retriever who was huge.
Okay, wait. When you did Pilates, did you have to do it on all fours? And did you have to, do the dog paddle in the pool?
I didn't have to do my Pilates on all fours. I wish I had. It would have been easier. But I was on 2 legs and trying to balance on a ball, and it was difficult. And I did do the dog paddle in the pool, but, what else was I going to do? I was really scared of the dog, so I didn't want to put my head under the water because the dog was really big and chasing stuff. So I had my eye on the dog. And then I got out and I had a paw cure with this cute little puppy. And then it was time for dinner, and they served me my spaghetti and meatballs in a dog bowl, but they gave me utensils.
That's nice.
And then I got a bedtime story, and then it was lights out.
Where can people learn more about your writing and perhaps even see this article?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's pictures and everything. In fact, I've been recognized more from this article than anything I've ever written before, and I've been writing for quite a while. So they can go to my website, KathyAlter.com.
We'll put links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.pets.
Oh, thank you.
Kathy, thanks so much for spending time with us today.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, it's time for us to get on out of here. Don't forget you can get your fix during the week over at animalradio.pet and links to everything you've heard on today's show over at animalradio.pet. Have yourself a great week. I'm off to go study my baby talk.
That's a good boy.
Oh, yeah.
Goodbye, everybody. Everybody was good listening to the show today. You were such good listeners. Oh, we love our listeners. You're such good listeners.
This is Animal Radio Network.